is the one thing you want to say yes to? Not the thing you're pretty good at, not the thing that pays the bills right now. The one thing, if you could say no to everything else, that you would choose above all others. That question, asked by a coach, changed the trajectory of my guest's entire consulting practice. And I think it might do the same for you. My name is AJ Riedel. This is Thriving Through, the podcast where each week I have real conversations with self-employed consultants about what it really takes to build a profitable, sustainable, and fulfilling consulting practice. Consulting. Katy spent 20 years in higher education operations before going out on her own in 2023. She did what a lot of us do. She experimented, she pivoted, she tried fractional work, and eventually landed exactly where she belongs, working with multi-office architectural and engineering firms to build the kind of organizational alignment that actually sticks. What I love about this conversation is how honest Katy is about the process. She didn't wake up one day with a crystal clear niche. It took reflection, coaching, and the courage to say no to work that paid but didn't fit. And what happened when she did? She stopped feeling limited. She started feeling like the opportunities were boundless. We also get into what it really takes to build a business partnership, how to manage focus when you're running multiple ventures, and why your gut instinct is actually one of your most valuable data sources as a consultant. This is episode 100, and Katy is fitting to mark the episode, to mark that milestone. Let's get into it. Katy Hill, welcome to the Thriving Through podcast. I'm
Thank,
delighted to have you here today.
thank you, and I'm delighted to be here.
So, the podcast name is Thriving Through. What does thriving mean to you?
That's a great question, because thriving means something different to all of us, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So, for me, I draw on like two things when I'm thinking and creating my vision for what thriving is for me. One, parents, you'll feel me on this one. When we have infants or littles, right? It's the doctors and the medical staff talk about thriving. And what does thriving mean when you have an infant or a little? It means hitting milestones, growing, just taking things in and just thriving through life, just grasping it, experimenting with it, trying it, but not on a particular timetable, right? Like there's no
Mhm.
day, week, month, there's a range of what that growth looks like, but you can absolutely tell when children are thriving, it all happens differently, but it looks and feels the same. The other thing I draw on for my vision of thriving is, I live in a great place in Colorado, and out my back windows is an open space. And when the conditions are right, what thrives out there are the native plants and grasses because it's their home. They
Mhm.
belong there. And when they're in the right environment and the conditions are right, they thrive because they're meant to be there. And so that's what I really use to construct my vision of thriving. It's me in my right environment, doing what I need to do on a timetable that fits me, but it looks and feels great.
Wonderful. I love that. Yes, it's not forced.
No.
You know, children don't walk at a precise moment in their life. There's a range, but
And
great
and sometimes
analogies.
they go back to crawling when they need to. It's not like you walk and that's what you do from there on. We go back into our comfort zone when we need it and when it feels stable.
Very true. Thank you. I love that. Now, on to some questions more directly related to being a consultant. What was your path to becoming a self-employed consultant?
So, like most of us, it wasn't straight. It wasn't necessarily recursive. where I did it for a bit and then I went back into industry and then in and out. I spent 20 years in higher education operations. I had some other work in small business consulting roles and firms before that, but always for an organization. I did not go out on my own until I found myself out of higher ed at the end of 2022. And I thought, do I want to go back in? What do I want my next move to be? Uh, Early 40s. So, not an uncommon time for some of us to go, what do we want to do? I mean, I've always had a hard time deciding what I want to be when I grow up, because that's not set and I don't see it as anything fixed. And so finding myself outside of higher education, I thought, I'm going to take a pause, take a moment to figure out what do I want to do next. And so I did a little bit of fractional COO work, found out don't really like that. So it was an experimentation exploration of what don't I like and what do I want? What do I want my days to look like? What do I want? What do I want to help people with? How do I want to help them? How am I best at helping them? And so I ended up founding, my consulting business in 2023 and experimenting until I found just that right spot. And I love it, and I will not go back.
And what is just that right spot?
Just that right spot is working with multi-office architectural and engineering firms. I love and thrive on complexity. And most of my time in higher education was spent at 20 campus systems, probably a collective, if I think about it, 10, 12 years at multi-campus systems, 20. So I understand the complexity, the challenges of communication, of competing priorities. There's the priorities at the top, there's the priorities in each of the different locations, there's the priorities for each of the different offices and departments within that, and you have amazing leaders that emerge from all over the place. And so how do you harness that all in the right direction without stifling anything, but without chaos erupting either? So I love and thrive on the complexity. And being here in Colorado, architecture and engineering, they have a great mark to make on this state and the neighboring states. How do we live in harmony in our built environment and in shaping the environment and using it in a way that is responsible, sustainable, and beautiful?
You spent the first couple of years working with solopreneurs and small business owners, and then you pivoted to
I did
multi-office
indeed.
A&E. How, what was the sort of definitive moment when you said, this is what I really want to do? Or was there one?
I know, I was going to say you use the word definitive moment, and I think for some of us it doesn't happen that way. There's not a moment where you're just like, aha, I woke up one day and the rest of my life went in this direction and I was fine. No, it doesn't really work that way. I started reflecting back on towards the end of the year, as one does. I run an in-person networking group, and my business partner and I in that space, we're running a reflection in October and November. Our monthly sessions were on reflect on what's gone right, what's gone wrong, what opportunities there were, what opportunities you may have missed, and what opportunities you want to create next year. And so I started doing a lot of that reflection myself and thought, am I happy? Am I doing what I do best? Am I doing what nobody else is better situated to do? And then I got really smart and I hired a coach because I think we all need some help and
Mm,
support sometimes.
okay.
And my coach asked me a question, and being the contrarian I am, I rejected that question and changed it a little bit. My coach asked me a question. He said, if you could only do one thing, like what do you want to do? What do you want to do one thing? If you could only do one thing. And I'm like, you know what? If I only got to do one thing, if I could reject everything else, if I could say no, what is the only thing I want to say yes to? That was the question that led me to what I'm doing.
That is a great question. And I want to go back to something you also said when you were thinking about who you wanted to work with. You were uniquely positioned with expertise and knowledge and insight to serve that niche better than other people. And I think that's another important consideration when we're thinking about who we want to serve is who who are we best who can we serve like no one else can, because
Yeah.
then you're like the category of one.
Yes.
There's no competition.
Yes. And when you're in that right spot, it doesn't feel like there's competition. It feels like there's just endless opportunity. You may go, I don't serve all small businesses now, but it doesn't feel like a narrowing or a limiting. I when you know it, it feels boundless.
That I love that. That's definitely going to be a highlight that I'm going to pull out because so many self-employed consultants and small business owners are really afraid of niching down because they're afraid they're going to limit their opportunities.
Yeah.
But the way you said, the opportunities are boundless when you have narrowed it down and know exactly who you want to serve and serve them really well, better than anyone else.
As you said, like no other.
Exactly. Yes. Something that you're is important and is part of the reason you picked the target you did is you said you're a sucker for a good mission.
I am. I always am.
How much how much does mission alignment with your clients matter to the quality of your work?
You know, I don't want to say something cliche like it's everything, it's the heart of it. But I did really intentionally spend time going, where's their values alignment? Who do I not want to work with and why? And going, that's okay. I mean,
Mhm.
like you, AJ, I'm a networker, I'm a connector. And so it doesn't mean that they won't get help. It just doesn't have to come from me. Just because I can solve something, should I? The answer probably isn't there. So I look for people that there's values alignment because then the communication gets easier. There aren't conflicts in the way of I would tell them to, like, I'm people first. I'm optimistic about the future and opportunities. I see collaboration rather than competition. I think like I said, the opportunities are boundless. You just need to know where to look for them and go after them properly, which is usually with unbridled passion and enthusiasm. And so I want to look for firms that match that. They think their people are their best asset. The future is opportunistic. They're in a good spot and they're looking forward to moving forward. Like they're excited. Like, some of us stand on the edge and we like look and we like lean and we're like, oh no. I want the people who are leaning going, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to make that leap. Hold my hand and let's go.
Love it. Love it. You are have a lot of balls in the air. You're running Katy Hill Consulting. You're co-leading Feedback Academy AI, which I think is fairly new,
It is.
and you're co-running a networking group.
Yes.
How
And
do you
writing a
man
book.
and oh, okay, and writing a book. How do you manage focus and energy across these multiple ventures?
That's been tough. Not gonna lie. Like that's been really tough. And it's something that's been occupying my mind a lot over the last few weeks, trying to figure out because that's the business side of Katie. There's also the I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a dog and cat mom, right? Pet mom. And dogs require a bit more. The cat doesn't require much energy, but the dog does. And so it's not just how do I balance the focus and energy for that, but how do I balance the focus and energy for my family, for my other roles? I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a sister. And man, it's tough. I don't get it right all the time, or even a lot of the time I don't feel, right? So that's one of my still my struggles. But I'm juggling with different pieces. Like I know how I like to work. And I've worked with my coach on this too, going, I don't do things because I feel I don't have the time to sit down and do them in a large chunk. I'm okay with doing lots of things and picking up and putting down. I've always had roles like that in operations and higher ed. You're working all over the place with lots of different projects and lots of different people. that doesn't bother me. But when I have 20 minutes, I don't know what to do with myself because most of my projects I feel like need deeper time. So I'm experimenting with when do I do my deep work best? When is my energy at its best? When am I feeling friendly? And that's probably the best time to do my outreach and my connections and my networking, right? Because,
Mhm.
there's sometimes I'm not feeling all that friendly. I will admit, first thing in the morning before my coffee, hmm, not great. But I do my best deep work early in the morning. So I take advantage of the natural household cadence of being up at 4 a.m. and I work early in the morning. And it's usually 2, 3 hours before I pick my head up. And that works for me. That's not going to work for everybody else. Like you will find me an absolute pumpkin well before midnight. I just can't do the late nights. But it's finding those rhythms and being okay with you can work on this for 2 hours. If you do 2 hours across 3 days, you've worked on it for 6 hours. 6 hours is a heck of a lot of progress on any single chunk of work.
Especially when it's quiet, you're not interrupted, and you do have like that chunk of 2 hours. You
Yes.
really can stay focused because when we're interrupted, it takes a while to get back into the cadence. Yeah, that idea. I get up early, but not quite that early, and I do my disciplines during in the morning. But the idea of being up at 4 and having a couple hours to do deep work just sounds so appealing. I think I may have to rethink how I manage my day.
See, and I'm up at 4 because my husband works commercial construction. He's a journeyman electrician. We have been up at 4 for probably 2.5 decades. So it's not necessarily by choice. I'm not one of those, get up at 4. It's the best time of the day. It's
Woo!
it's really not. It's an
Uh-huh.
awful hour. It really is, but I'm up and we're up. And thankfully my son's not up. So we might as well, take advantage of those hours that are presented. So for some of us, it's going to be like when the kids go down to bed. I know other people that are like, I do my best time from 9 to 11. And then I get up at 6 or 7 with my kids. Great. Find that time that fits naturally. If you try and force something, I tried. I tried to force something. Ooh, no, no. I resented it. I resented
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, and I think that's when your inner either toddler or inner teenager comes out and crosses their arms and says, "Heck
I
no,
don't wanna. I
you
don't
can't make
wanna.
me. I don't wanna." Oh man, that I don't wanna voice when I hear the I don't wanna voice. Oh, from me when I'm
Even for
doing
me,
it.
it sets my teeth on edge.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Having, being a parent, it will do that to us because we heard that when our kids were young. I want to ask you, you are is it co-founding or co-leading Feedback Academy AI?
Co-founding and co-leading. Yeah.
Okay. So when I think about co-founding a business, you're developing a business partnership, which
Hmm.
uh, somehow my mind goes to the negative, to the pitfalls, to the what could go wrong. Um, Tell me about forming that partnership and what makes it work well, and what are some of the pitfalls?
So, so Billy Sammons and I, we knew each other for almost a year before he pitched an idea, right? And one of the things, if you're familiar with the bank communication systems, BANK, it's blueprint, action, nurture, knowledge. I'm a nurturer and an action, which means those are my two primary value drivers and my motivators. So tell me we can help people and we can get started today. Sold. I'm in. Boom. What do you need? What do you want? Let's go. Right. So Billy and I knew each other first. So that wasn't like we just found each other out of the blue or some kind of matching system. We knew each other for about a year and been working together for almost a year on various projects. Uh, and it started with, hey, Katy, I've been noticing something. We've been talking a lot about it. We've been talking about this problem, networking and speaking, and people just aren't like, honestly, it started with wanting to fix some different networking um, flaws from our perspective. And just wanting to offer something different, a different networking experience out there. And like all good ideas, it just started to morph and flow. Now, we respect each other a lot. We knew each other very well. We are very values compatible. And I will say we did a couple of really, really important things first. We were honest with each other about where that business fits in both of our lives. He's a husband, he's a father, and he has two other businesses, right? And this one, the Feedback Academy AI, for both of us is not our primary business yet. And we're both okay and understanding with that. And we're both very forgiving about that. We have a contract in place and we agreed about how to split things. Revenue and financials, we have a very particular split. The workload and responsibility, we have a fair and equitable, and I'm using those terms intentionally over equal, because an equitable split, I think, is what you want with your partners. I also
Okay.
co-run a local networking and I have a partner for that. It's equitable. We ebb and flow and we are forgiving with each other and we ask for help. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to learn, that he had to keep reminding me, ask for help when you need it. So lay your ground rules, understand where this fits in your flow. We started with mission, vision, values, not necessarily terribly formally, but where do we both see this going? We both agreed on what we want the exit to be and that we are planning for an exit so that we have the same destination and we're working towards the same build. Because if I wanted to do something that was going to be a legacy business that I was going to pass down for generations, and he's going, I want to build this up and sell it in 3 years, yikes.
Big
Like
disconnect.
that wouldn't work. So we have that clear. Some of the pitfalls, it's this shows how much I respect him and how great a partner he is. I'm having a hard time thinking of them. The biggest pitfalls come from the nature of the fact that the business isn't our primary one at the moment, and so we're building in the margins and we're building around the outside. Uh, there is compromise, and coming from higher education where collaboration generally rules the day, and I am a collaborative and competent style person. I believe that the best idea should win, and I think the best idea is usually reached when you start meshing your ideas together with other people you respect. And so sometimes there's too many ideas to go after in too many directions. That's one of the pitfalls. Sometimes when you're hitting and firing and ready to go, your partner isn't. And so the energy imbalance can feel a little off, but that's usually temporary and it corrects itself. But the thing that overrides all of it, and this happens in my marriage, in my relationships with my family, my friends, my business partners, communication. Talk, 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 talk to each other. Making assumptions. We all know what that leads and what you end up making out of yourself, but communication is really what it comes down to. Honest communication, both with yourself and with those people that you partner with.
And it sounds so easy, but it's not.
It's intentional. It takes so much work and intention.
And what are
Mm.
some tips? What have you learned about making that intentional about communication? I know you can't boil it all down, but
Yeah.
just a couple
So
couple highlights.
early on when we were starting out, and I do this with my partner that I do the in-person networking with, and I did do this with Billy that we're building the business with. During critical build phases or critical points, schedule regular check-ins. This is where, I spent a good portion of my fractional COO time project managing a software development project. The idea of stand-ups, and I did this way back in my early mom and pop consulting days. Every morning, no more than 10 minutes, we would literally stand up and have a meeting. Check in, priorities for the day, communication, urgent messages. Okay, great, get to work. So I schedule biweekly check-ins with my networking partner, and Billy and I, when we're in critical build phases, we schedule weekly times to check in with each other.
And what are the things that you go priorities for the day? What's the second one?
Priorities, um, for the phase coming up, that sort of checklist of go, no go, what do we need to have ready? What
Mhm.
is ready, what isn't ready? And then we can identify, okay, I've got these three things to get ready. I know I'm going to have a struggle getting to the third one. Do you have bandwidth to cover? And that sort of brings up that. Check-ins, go, no go, and how are you feeling? And it doesn't have to be some deep, long on the couch sort of thing, but just are you good? Are you feeling positive about this? Or do you have concerns? Or do you think we're ready to go with this?
Yeah, it's a good question because those are the kinds of communication that don't always get voiced. Especially if the other person's going gangbusters, full speed
Yes.
ahead, and you're feeling like, ooh, I've really got some reservations about this.
Hmm.
Not always sure. So I want to go back for a moment to the coaching. You said you had the wisdom to hire a coach. Where did
Yes.
that come from, your higher ed time, or where did it come from that you look, were willing to accept that you needed somebody to guide you?
Uh, hmm. It goes back to my higher ed days, or before, I'm sorry, before my higher ed days. Uh, Working of all places, and I don't know if it was the place so much as it was the people, is I was working at the Colorado Department of Transportation. And I had some really fantastic coworkers and colleagues there. One in particular, he just was so great at, I guess the technical word for it is demystifying, but explaining how things work. Like he had gone back and gotten his doctorate at age 45. He was now in his early 60s. And here I come in, this young person, like, don't know what I'm doing quite yet, right? Some days still feel that way, right? But in my early 20s, going wide-eyed, how's this all work, right? I'm ready to conquer the world. And he's like, okay, here's how these things work. Here's where you need to listen to people. It was really great that you took direction. And so he called out the things that I was doing that was going to help me further on. And he took on sort of that mentorship role and said, look, we all need help. We all need. So I had some really great colleagues that sort of broke down how it really works. Like we don't do this all on our own. We get mentorship, we get coaching, we accept and take feedback. And so I've worked with some really great leaders who have modeled that for me, who have broken it down and explained why it's important, pointed out when it's happening naturally. And I was really fortunate early in my career to have some great example leaders.
And when you went to look for a coach, how did you go about finding the right coach?
So here's where I took a super secret squirrel shortcut. It was somebody I had known for a very long time. It was somebody I'd worked with in higher ed. Um, I had actually worked for him in higher ed, and and I knew he'd done coaching. I already had a good trusting relationship with him. Although I will say, I had a little bit of a hesitation because I had one style of relationship with him in a more formalized way. He was my supervisor, he evaluated me, and then I had to move to a coaching relationship, which makes you a heck of a lot more vulnerable than I ever wanted to be inside an organization to my boss.
Mhm.
So it took me a while to go, am I really comfortable doing this? Can I be vulnerable? Because if I am not willing to be vulnerable, don't hire a coach. But I knew he knew me, I trusted him, but it's a different one thing to trust, and it's another thing to like be vulnerable in that trust. So that was where I took that super secret squirrel shortcut. It was somebody who I knew would be a good coach for me. I just had to mentally get to the point where I was ready and willing to be vulnerable.
And shed all the armor.
Yes.
I want to move ahead to looking toward the future. Where do you see your businesses in the next 3 to 5 years?
So, oh wow. That is a fantastic question. And I have the vision. I know what it is. Um, I've gone well beyond 10xing. I'm 10xing multiple times. And I know it gets thrown around as a cliche, but I have big plans. I don't have time for small plans. I'm an operations person. I don't have time to just hustle harder to get to where I want to go. That's not the way, that's not the way for me, certainly. Um, I'm at the point where I've retired my husband. He's no longer working anything physical. We're able to take my son on the trips that we want to see and we want to do. I'm helping architectural and engineering firms really just explode their capacity to take on change in their own growth. I'm the type of consultant that doesn't leave you dependent. I'm the one who wants to make it so you know how to activate your own change leaders. They are supported to the point where they are the leaders and the change makers that they need to be, and they're activated throughout the organization so the direction and energy isn't always coming from the top. And like I'm the go-to person in Colorado for architectural and engineering firms that go, we're ready to grow. We've got to get Katy. For Feedback Academy AI, we're nearing our exit. We've built up the value and the profile so that people are comfortable in their leadership. They're comfortable on camera. They're comfortable in their communication, whether it's your solopreneurs and entrepreneurs on social media, delivering these quick clips that get to the point, that hit, that deliver the communication and a message that resonates. Whether it's speaking coaches who are using the platform to 10x their own business because their clients get all that routine practice time, where they come in and give them just that, that amazing human speaking coach touch that can't happen through AI, no matter how good the AI is. And then the corporations that are coming in and are getting their leaders through. And so strategically well done communication becomes one of the core strengths of both architectural and engineering and other corporations so that their next leadership group knows leadership isn't about power and position. It's about communication. And I'll tell you, a big part of communication is listening so that we're mentoring the next set of leaders for corporations out there that know how to communicate because it means they know how to listen.
And listening is not easy. Listening
It's
meaningfully.
deceptively hard.
Mhm.
hmm You have to
Yeah,
listen well, listen actively, and that also means being vulnerable and willing to take action and rethink.
right. I'm going to go back to something you said. You said that with A&E firms, you
hmm
are the person in Colorado. So you are the preeminent go-to person for multi-office A&E firms. How did you develop that? How did you get there to being that preeminent
If I
authority?
visioning in the future, how did I get there? If my future self is talking back to me, okay. I got there by being good. I mean, really, I know I'm good. And I got there by delivering value, by listening, by bespoke solutions, meaning I don't come in with do this 10-step process and you will succeed. It's what is the process for your firm? Where are you starting from? Let's meet you where you are. Let's wrap it in your values so that you do this in a way that resonates with you and it doesn't feel like you're pushing against your culture, you're pushing against your values, and you're pushing against wisely the mass of your people who want to keep you centered and rooted in your culture. So you do that in a way that you listen deeply, you build from where people are, you honor their experiences. I One of the things that I talk about and that I've really come to believe in is expertise is your best data. Your gut instinct isn't something to ignore. It is actually your expertise trying to tell you something really important. It's data that you can articulate because if you look at the neuroscience definition of expertise, they laugh, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know about a subject, but that's really true. You cannot articulate it. I mean, if anybody's ever been taught by a PhD mathematician, been taught college algebra, you know what I mean, right? They can't break down. That's too simplistic for them. So by teaching firms to tap into their gut, their instinct as a form of expertise, that's something I do better than anyone else. And so that's a way that working with me just feels right in your gut. It instinctually just feels comfortable.
Now, as we come to the end of the podcast, I have a couple closing questions. What is one book, podcast, or resource that's been invaluable to your consulting practice?
Hmm. One book, podcast, or resource? That is an excellent question. Because I will say I don't delve into a lot of the resources around me, probably like I should. I'm not sure I have a great answer for that.
Okay.
And that feels a little embarrassing
Hmm.
because I feel like I
Well,
should probably be paying more attention to the wisdom out there, but I've surrounded myself with lots of people who have written lots of books. But I guess I just have access to them personally to ask questions that I sort of get the Cliff Note version, I feel.
yeah, that makes sense. And you're writing a book.
I am.
So, what is your book about?
So my book is about sort of the framework that you can use within, I mean, it's rooted in architectural and engineering firms. It's the framework you can use to really truly align your firm and activate every single part of it so that it is poised and ready for change.
And where are you in the process?
I don't know. This is my first book, so I'm not sure where, like, and I'm not sure if I'm following the process that most people out there would, but I have the sketch and the outline of all the chapters. I've got a lot of it in. I would say I'm 80% done. And that's the easy part, right? The 80% is the easy part. The 20%, the refinement and going back through, is, the devil's in the details with that. But I'd say I'm about 80% of the way through. It'll be coming out. Okay, I will declare this. It's coming out in Q2.
Okay. Okay.
It'll be out before
Good.
the end of June.
All right.
Publicly declare it and it'll happen.
There you go. Is it so? Are you writing it? Is it designed to be sort of a lead generator with your target audience where you can say, hey, I wrote the book? Or what
It
is your motivation for
it
writing the
is.
book?
This first one, because I coming from academia, writing is comfortable, speaking and facilitating is comfortable. And I thought, I knew it was a matter of when, not if. But the big
Mm-hmm.
question overall is what? I don't want to just write a book to write a book, right? Once it's out there. And maybe that's just me and my personal limitations. But this one is the lead gen book to start the conversation. But coming from higher education, it has to deliver value. And I know that's not a thing unique to higher education, but I am an educator at heart. And I've always been one of those people that has benefited from you just give me a little bit of a framework, right? A rough sketch, you do A, B, and C. I'm usually the type who can figure it out from there. That's why I did well at school, because that's a heck of a lot of formal schooling, right? They give you an idea, you do a bunch of other work on your own, and you figure it out. So the lead gen book I'm writing is more than just trying to generate leads, it's trying to generate conversations. It's trying to generate an interest in the topic so that other experts can come to bear on it. Because, I'm great at working with like my co-presenter for networking. We do a lot of the same thing. But you know what? Some people are going to resonate in working with him, others going to vibe with me. That's great. So the lead gen book is really like conversation starter. I want this to be talked about. How do we talk about what is the right framework? How do we move as multi-office firms? How do we tap into strategic intelligence and strategic communications and make that an enduring firm strength? Um, these firms are around for generations. They pass and develop their next set of leaders. So how is it that those of us who serve these firms can help them become this growing engine generation after generation after generation and benefit? I mean, yes, okay. So it goes and then it goes back to the whole they're working on sustainable housing, they're working on using our resources properly, they're working on affordable housing, and they're working on uh, you know, how do we accommodate our built environment in a global warming environment? Just in global warming, I guess. So it comes back to the larger mission. If we get the conversations going, we get the right people involved, it's not after me benefiting from this. Yes, I will, but that's as a byproduct. I firmly believe in this comes from higher education, I'm sure. Get the right conversations going, the right people become attracted to it, and that's how things move and new knowledge is created.
and and you make big change that goes beyond what just working with an individual company.
Yes.
Yes. And now the most important question.
Yes.
How can listeners connect with you if they want to learn more about you and your work?
Okay. Thank you. That is an excellent, excellent question, and I appreciate it deeply. So, Katy Hill, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's my largest presence. Can also email me at KT, the letter K, the letter T, Hill Consulting at gmail.com. Uh, I'm also establishing my web presence. To date, I've worked on more of as a boutique style, referral and networking only. And I've realized it goes back to that big vision. I need a web presence, so I'm building that. So the website is coming soon. That or, you know, excuse me, people can always, text me or hit me up on the phone, 720-289-3655. But LinkedIn is probably the easiest, best way. You can find out more information about me, and I'm just under Katy Hill on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. And for those of you listening or watching, all those links will be in the show notes. All right. Well, Katy, thank you so much. This was a fabulous conversation. And for all of you out there listening, until next time, keep thriving through. Katy, thank you. This was such a rich conversation. The idea of committing to the one thing you want to say yes to and discovering that narrowing down doesn't limit you, it liberates you. I think that's something every consultant listening needs to sit with. And the reminder that your gut instinct isn't something to dismiss. It's the data your expertise has accumulated that you can't put into words. That alone is worth the listen. If you want to connect with Katy, find her on LinkedIn, Katy Hill, Katy Hill. The link is in the show notes. Her book for architectural and engineering firms is coming out in Q2 2026, so keep an eye out for it. And if this episode resonated with you, please share it with a fellow consultant who's wrestling with their niche, their focus, or their next move. This is how we grow this community of people who are serious about building consulting practices that actually work for them. Until next time, keep thriving through.